Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari Gopi Jana Vallabha Giri Bharadhari Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Giri Bharadhari Yasodhanandana Vraja Janardana Yasodhanandana Vraja Janardana Yamuna Tiravana Yamuna Tiravana Jaya Radha Madhava Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari Gopi Jana Vallabha Giri Bharadhari Gopi Jana Vallabha Giri Bharadhari Yasodhanandana Vraja Janardana Yasodhanandana Vraja Janardana Yamuna Tiravanachapi Yamuna Tiravanachapi Jai Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari Gopi Jana Vallabha Giri Bharadhari Gopi Jana Vallabha Giri Bharadhari Yasodhanandana Vraja Janardana Yasodhanandana Vraja Janardana Yamuna Tiravana Chapi Yamuna Tiravana Chapi Jai Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Jaya Krishna Balaram, Jaya Krishna Balaram, Krishna Balaram, Jaya Krishna Balaram, Jaya Radha Shama Sundar, Radha Shama Sundar, Shri Radhe, Jaya Gauranitai, 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 Jaya Gauranitai, Jaya Jaya Prabhupada, 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 Jaya Jaya Prabhupada.
Thank you, Maharaj, for wonderful kirtan. We can start actually. I'll take 1 minute. I know most of our devotees know you very well and they like your class. So
Hare
just
Krishna.
Hare Krishna. So Hare Krishna to everyone. His Holiness Bhakti Anugraha Janardana Swami is disciple of Gopal Krishna Goswami Maharaj, and in 2014 he was awarded Sannyasa initiation by Gopal Krishna Swami. He has been preaching in Delhi, New Delhi, in the Vrindavan and Philippines. His Holiness Bhakti Anugraha Janardana Swami travels with His Holiness Gopal Krishna Maharaj and has been assigned the work of preaching in Philippines. His Holiness Gopal Krishna Swami is His Holiness Bhakti Anugraha Janardana Swami's mentor. So our class will continue for 1 hour. And just as a reminder, please submit your questions through chat, and also you can WhatsApp me if you want. And last 15 minutes, Maharaj will answer your questions. And thank you very much. Hope we will enjoy another wonderful class from Maharaj. Maharaj, so back to you. You can start, Maharaj.
Amagyanan Dasya Gyanandjana Shalakaya Chakshurun Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Sri Chaitanya Manovistam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Shwa Padantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Juta Padakamalam Shri Gurung Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunatam Vitantam Shajivam Sadvaitam Sadvadhutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padam Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakam Vitamsha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandhu Jagatpate Gope Sagopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostate Tapta Kanchana Gaurange Radhe Vrindavanespari Vishavano Sute Devim Pranamami Hari Priye Vanchakalpatarubhyascha Kipasindhuryayivacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Jaya Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna. So we're very happy to be amongst you again this morning, and because of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's appearance will be coming up very soon, around 2 weeks from now. It's 28, isn't it? The Gaur Purnima, most auspicious day of the appearance of the Supreme Lord, who appeared 500 years ago. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is none other than the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and he came as a devotee. His appearance in this world is for the purpose of how to teach everyone that can be engaged. They can be engaged again in the process of devotional service, which is our eternal, what you may say, religion, Jaiva Dharma. This eternal religion is serving the Supreme Personality of Godhead. He is the Supreme Lord, we are His servants, and this is our constitutional position. So in the time that Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu spent here in this mortal world, he spent about 48 years, and his life is the example of how a devotee should behave, even though he's God himself. Shri Krishna Chaitanya Radha Krishna Nahi Anya. He's a combined form of the eternal couple, Shri Radha and Krishna. And he came as a devotee in the mood of Srimati Radharani. That's why his color is molten gold. Krishna Varnam Tosa Krishnam. Sangapanga Savarjanam. Yagyay Sankirtana Prayay Yajantihi Samedasaha. So Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu came, but not in the same color as Lord Krishna. Lord Krishna is blackish. So right, Tusha Krishna. Not in the color of bluish black, see Krishna, but he came as in the mood of Srimati Radharani, who is the topmost devotee, the best of all the servants of the Supreme Lord. But at the same time, she is the eternal consort of Lord Krishna. And in the mood of Srimati Radharani, Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu came, and also Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has this color of golden complexion. So as we were reading from the Chaitanya Charitamrita, there are many devotees whom Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu gave instructions like Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya, Rupa Goswami, Sanatan Goswami, Ramananda Roy. And I chose to read from the Chaitanya Charitamrita, Madhya Lila, chapter 19. Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu instructs Srila Rupa Goswami. Srila Rupa Goswami is one of the 6 Goswamis of Vrindavan, followers of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, whom they were given specifically instructions to locate special places, or the places where the Supreme Lord performed his pastimes. They unearthed it, because in due course of time, 5,000 years ago now, they unearthed them. That means they discovered them. They're there, but many also not able to uncover, but mostly many of them has been discovered by Rupa and Sanatan Goswamis, 2 brothers. But before, they were engaged in the service of the government under Nawab Hussain Shah. And it is says that when Rupa Goswami, he left his post, he asked permission so that he will want to meet Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and spend time with him, that his riches is about a boatload of gold coins. After his retirement, they're very well educated, very trusted by the Nawab Hussain Shah, and his wealth, or whatever remains, he divided those riches into 3 parts. 50% he gave to the purpose of spreading Krishna consciousness. And 25% he gave for his family members, and 25% for his own emergency use. And this should be also a guiding principle for all the grihastas who are engaged in some activities accumulating wealth, that after their retirement, they should do this. Because the whole purpose of human form of life is to become detached from this world. And the more we give and surrender everything for the pleasure of the Supreme Lord, then the more we will get closer to Krishna and become attached unto his lotus feet. So it may seem to be a little difficult to do, yes, but if we want to become free from the cycle of repeating birth and death, therefore we have to learn how to do this ultimately, because the whole purpose of human form of life is to get out of this material world, go back home, back to Godhead, where we belong. So Rupa Goswami, he also left some money behind for Sanatan Goswami, because Sanatan Goswami, he wanted to go also along with Rupa Goswami, but Sanatan Goswami was instructed by Rupa Goswami that in due course of time, you can come and join me to meet Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Rupa Goswami left 10,000 gold coins for Sanatan Goswami so that he will be able to use it in the time that is needed, like an emergency. And the Nawab Hussain Shah, he released Rupa Goswami, but then he did not release Sanatana Goswami. Navabusen siya, he considered Sanatana Goswami as like his brother, and he very, very much confident that if Sanatana Goswami is there, he will do the management work, while Navabusen siya will go and conquer many, many places, different lands and areas of India. So Rupa Goswami, along with his brother, younger brother, Anupam, both they met Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu in Prayag, Allahabad, and specifically in what we call Tribeni. Tribeni. So Sanatana Goswami, he was left behind, but then eventually later on he was released, not released, but he escaped by bribing the jailkeeper. He's giving him lots, almost everything of his these 10,000 coins. So immediately Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he understood the inner heart of Srila Rupa Goswami, and when Rupa Goswami and Anupam, they first had a glance of the Supreme Lord, he both of them, they chanted, recited this prayer, Namo Mahabadanyaya Krishna Prema Padayate Krishnaya Krishna Chaitanya Namne Gauratuse Namaha. That Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is the most merciful incarnation of the Supreme Lord. Namo Mahabadanyaya, most merciful. Why? Because he freely gives love of God, specifically Vrajaprem, towards everyone, irregardless of what is their qualification. This is the mercy of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, unlimited. The more one is unqualified, that is his qualification. The more one is fallen, that is his qualification. You don't need to be a PhD degree holder, either man or woman, young or old, poor or rich, educated or uneducated. Everyone is qualified. It's like in the Bhagavad Gita, Lord Krishna instructed, Sarva dharman parityajya mam ekam sharanam vraja. Aham tvam sarva papebhyo mokshasami masuchaha. He told Arjuna, just give up all your so-called religious activities and surrender unto me. Do not worry, I will protect you. So Lord Krishna was demanding this to everyone, surrender. And Prabhupada says in one of the purports, there is no difference between Lord Chaitanya's teachings and Lord Krishna's teachings of surrender. Lord Chaitanya's teachings is that it doesn't matter where you are situated in this society, just become a devotee of the Supreme Lord by chanting the holy name of the Supreme Lord. So, very simple. Actually, when we chant the holy name of the Lord, then that is an act of surrender itself. So, we're going to read from the Chaitanya Charitamrita, Madhya Lila, chapter 19, text 132 onwards. Ekata sune mahantera mahasukahaya Chaitanyera kripayan he tamhe ki vishmaya. Actually, I'm going to quote before reading further Vishwanath Chakrabarti Thakur's prayers and understanding about the teachings of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu in a nutshell. Even just by reading this, we can explain the whole teachings of Lord Chaitanya in a nutshell. Arajyo Bhagavan Braje Satanayastadhama Brindavanam Ramya Kachid Upasana Brajubadu Varjenaya Kalpita Shrimad Bhagavatam Pramanam Amalang Prema Pumartuahan Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhur Matam Idam Tatradaruna Para. In the conclusive opinion of Lord Chaitanya that Sri Krishna, who is Vrajendranandan, is the Supreme Personality of Godhead himself, the topmost worshipable deity. Vrindavan Dham, which is an expansion of Krishna, is none different from him, is the highest worshipable abode. The Gopis are the highest example of the worship of Sri Krishna. Srimad Bhagavatam is the spotless evidence for knowing the absolute truth. Krishna Prema is the fifth and the highest goal of life. These are the teachings of Sri Chaitanya in a nutshell. So these teachings of Lord Chaitanya is all spread throughout his encounter with these different personalities that we mentioned earlier. So now let us see back to Chaitanya Charitamrita. The translation of what we've read. Ikatasuni mahantera mahasukahaya Chaitanyera kripayanhe tanhi ki vishmaya. When the personal associates of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu would hear of the activities of Rupa and Sanatan Goswamis, they would say, "What is wonderful for a person who has been granted the Lord's mercy." Prabhupada's purport. Srila Rupa Goswami and Sanatan Goswami had no fixed residence. The Goswamis are like this. They live in a different tree every night. They're not attached to one place of residence where they will stay for long periods of time. They have residences in Govardhan, in Radhakund, in Vrindavan, and many places in Vrindavan. They stayed beneath a tree for one day only and wrote huge volumes of transcendental literature. This is one of the instructions of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu to the Goswamis of Vrindavan to write transcendental literatures, Bhakti Ras, those literatures that explains about the transcendental mellows of the relationship between Lord Krishna and the living beings. Lord Krishna is the only person that has a relationship with everyone. We may have a relationship with our family, our friends, and loved ones, but not everybody, to the extent that only a few circles. But Lord Krishna, he has relationship with everyone, and this relationship of everyone towards the Supreme Lord is unique. As Prabhupada translated from the Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, one of the books that Srila Rupa Goswami wrote, the 5 major transcendental mellows or rasas, like neutrality, shanta, servitude, dasya, this is what he called friendship, sakya, fraternal, paternal, that means vatsalya, and madhurya, conjugal love. They not only wrote books, but chanted, danced, discussed Krishna, and remembered Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's pastimes. Thus, they executed devotional service. So, devotional service is not stagnant. It's not like monotonous, as also explains in the Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu by Srila Rupa Goswami. There are 9 processes of devotional service, which starts from hearing and chanting, remembering, worshiping the Supreme Lord, becoming his friend, offering prayers, serving the lotus feet, and ultimately surrendering everything, giving up everything for the Supreme Lord. In Vrindavan, there are Prakrita Sahajas who say that writing books or even touching books is taboo. What is a Prakrita Sahaja? A Prakrita Sahaja means they are those who take the process of devotional service very cheaply. They're like considering themselves as very, very highly elevated souls. And everyone is subordinate to them, even though they don't have that genuine love towards the Supreme Lord. For them, devotional service means relieved from these activities. No. Ultimately, they become offenders, blasphemers of the Supreme Lord and his devotees and the process of devotional service. Whenever they are asked to hear a recitation of Vedic literature, they refuse, saying, "What business do we have reading or hearing transcendental literatures? They are meant for neophytes." Actually, they are neophytes. They don't accept the praman or the evidence from the Supreme Lord, which explains about the nature of the Supreme Absolute Truth. They pose themselves as too elevated to exert energy for reading, writing, and hearing. However, pure devotees under the guidance of Srila Rupa Goswami reject this Sahaja philosophy. It is certainly not good to write literature for money or reputation, but to write books and publish them for the enlightenment of general populace is real service to the Lord. So the pure devotees of the Supreme Lord, being directed by the super soul within their hearts, they are empowered to write transcendental literature. No one can write transcendental literatures unless they are empowered by the Supreme Lord himself. And topics about the nature of the Supreme Lord comes from the Supreme Lord himself. Dharma tu saksad bhagavat pranitam. The topics in relating to the principles of Dharma is enunciated by the Lord himself. It cannot be man-made. Just like the Bhagavad Gita, it is not man-made, or Srimad Bhagavatam, as Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's always emphasized that Srimad Bhagavatam is the topmost literature. That's why his life is Bhagavat himself. There is a book Bhagavat, and there is the person Bhagavat. Person Bhagavat means he exemplified and lived his life in a way according to the teachings of the Srimad Bhagavatam, the book Bhagavat. These neophytes or these sahajas, they're not even neophytes. Neophytes are beginners. They're trying to become advanced in Krishna consciousness. And this Prakrita sahajas means pretenders, not genuine. They consider themselves as pure devotees. However, pure devotees under the guidance of Srila Rupa Goswami reject this Sahaja philosophy. This is according to Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Sarasvati Thakur. According to his opinion, Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Sarasvati Thakur, he specifically told his disciples to write books. Prabhupada says also that we should try to write our realization, whatever that may be. It's like throughout the whole day, whatever we can realize based from reading, based from our chanting, we try to write it down and try to review it. See if we are making advancement or not. He actually preferred to publish books rather than establish temples. That's right. That's why Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, he would have a printing press inside the temple. And they will, it's like in Calcutta, they have one of these temples, the Gaudiya Math. And during Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur's time, the Param Guru of Srila Rupa Goswami, he would have puja every day towards the printing press. None different than the Supreme Lord's Murti form, the deity. Because the printing press is being used for distributing the name, fame, form, qualities, and pastimes of the Supreme Lord, and therefore none different than the Supreme Lord, as worshipable. Temple construction is meant for the general populace and neophyte devotees, but the business of advanced and empowered devotees is to write books, publish them, and distribute them widely. So Srila Rupa Goswami, along with the other 5 Goswamis of Vrindavan, this is their main purpose, to write these books. And they're not ordinary souls, they are eternally liberated souls. They came to this world for the purpose of assisting the Supreme Lord to save everyone, to have everyone become enlightened, be given knowledge, so that, see, knowledge about the absolute truth burns all the unwanted desires within our hearts. Our consciousness is always full of material desires, unwanted desires. But by hearing the transcendental topics regarding the Supreme Personality of Godhead, those material desires and sinful desires becomes eradicated to the root. The more we hear the name, fame, form, qualities, and pastimes of the Supreme Lord, the more our hearts become cleansed, and the more we become fully Krishna conscious. As Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu also taught us in the prayers or instructions, Siksastakam. Siksastakam. Astak means 8 instructions. Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he did not write any books, and he gave these duties to his disciples or followers, especially the 6 Goswamis. So in the first instruction of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is to chant the holy name of the Lord. It's like, because our heart is so dusty, is so polluted, and by chanting the holy name of the Lord, our hearts will become cleansed. It's like a mirror, dusty mirror, we cannot see our own reflection. So when we chant the holy name of the Lord, we will be able to eradicate these misgivings, and we will be able to uncover our real self. According Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur says, but the business of advanced and empowered devotees is to write books, publish them, and distribute them widely. That's why, following in the footsteps of Srila Rupa Goswami, Srila Prabhupada also, he translated many Vedic literatures, especially his main magnum opus, the Srimad Bhagavatam, which is like the sun, the brilliant sun that will dissipate the darkness in the age of Kali. It's like now in Vancouver, it's a little bit cloudy. You don't see the sun. The sun is there, but it's covered by cloud. Temporarily, the cloud is covering the sun, but the sun actually is always there. So this Bhagavatam, which according to Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's teachings, is the main praman, the main evidence to establish the nature of the Supreme Absolute Truth is none other than the Supreme Lord Sri Krishna. Consequently, according to Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, distributing literature is like playing on a great midanga, Brihat midanga. Because when we do Harinam, Sankirtan in the streets, you can hear the holy name up to a few blocks, let's say, if you have a good sound system as well. You can hear up to a certain distance, but this transcendental literature, if you distribute them widely, you can give a person a book and he can bring this book on the other side of the globe. And many more will be able to read them. We have many stories about devotees receiving books somewhere in Australia, and then they will join to some parts of the world like England. We have devotees distributing books. I'm sure in Toronto, you have many different cultures there who visits Toronto. If they will receive transcendental literature, then they will go back to their country of residence and they will read their books, and also many others will be able to read that. Consequently, we always request members of the International Society for Krishna Consciousness to publish as many books as possible and distribute them widely throughout the world. By thus following in the footsteps of Srila Rupa Goswami, one can become a Rupanuga devotee. Yes, we are actually followers of Srila Rupa Goswami, so we are also called Rupanugas. It's like we have one devotee in Toronto, his name is Rupanuga Prabhu, right? He's following in the footsteps of Rupa Goswami. He's helping many devotees in spreading Krishna consciousness as well. So this is just one of the purposes. I will go back now to Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur's nutshell. In a few moments, we will end and we will ask for comments and questions. Is that okay? Do I hear anything from there? Yes?
I have not yet, but I'm looking at. And
No problem.
Yes, so
no problem.
We'll get the questions.
I'll go back to Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur's
Thank you.
special. This is in a nutshell the teachings of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Lord Chaitanya, according to the conclusive opinion of Lord Chaitanya, Sri Krishna, who is Vrajendra Nandana. Vrajendra Nandan means he is the dearmost personality in Vrindavan. In Vrindavan, no one is more famous than Krishna. Everyone, they don't even care whether Krishna is God or not. All they want to do is to love Krishna more and more, increase their love towards Krishna. For them, whether Krishna is a demigod or God himself, and sometimes when they talk with each other, like the Gopis and Nanda Maharaj, they cannot figure out who is this personality? Who is your son? Is he Narayan? Is he a demigod? But ultimately, They don't care who he is. All they want to do is increase their love towards the Supreme Lord and not expecting anything in return. So pure love towards the Supreme Lord means I will do anything and everything. I will sacrifice anything and everything for the service of the Supreme Lord. And even if he doesn't reciprocate to me, I will still continue to love him. That's why Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's instructions, or one of his instructions, is that we should follow in the footsteps of the Vrajabhas, because the Vrajabhas exhibits the highest, the topmost level of love towards the Supreme Lord. Vrindavan Dham, which is an expansion of Krishna and is none different from him, is the highest worshipable abode. So Vrindavan ultimately is an expansion of Lord Balaram's energy. Lord Balaram is none different than Krishna himself, but in the mood of offering service towards Krishna. Lord Krishna is not, he's the Supreme Lord, but his mood is to accept the service from his devotees or from Lord Balaram, from himself also. And Lord Balaram, not just an expansion of Vrindavan, but everything, all the paraphernalia that Lord Krishna used or adorned on his body is an expansion of Lord Balaram, like his flute, the peacock feather, Lord Krishna's shoes, Lord Krishna's bed, Lord Krishna's dhotis. Everything in Vrindavan is an expansion of Lord Balaram to assist Lord Krishna in his pastimes. The Gopis are the highest example of the worship of Sri Krishna. The Gopis, at the time of Lord Krishna's pastimes 5,000 years ago, they gave up everything. Morally, it may look like wrong. It's like some of them were married. Some of them already have children. But still, they have family. But still, they give up for Krishna, to give Krishna the highest pleasure. And there's always transcendental competition between Lord Krishna and the Gopis. Whenever Krishna sees the beauty of the Gopis, Krishna becomes happy. But then when the Gopis sees Krishna's happiness, their happiness is multiplied thousands of times more than Krishna's happiness. And then when Lord Krishna will see the happiness of the Gopis, then his happiness also increase. But it is says that in this competition, who is more happy, Krishna or the Gopis? Prabhupada says the Gopis, because their happiness increases more. But then when Krishna sees their happiness, Krishna also increases his happiness. But the happiness of Krishna, of the Gopis, by serving Krishna, seeing his beauty, becomes more and more and more. Again, we touch upon Srimad Bhagavatam as the spotless evidence for knowing the truth, absolute truth. That's why in the beginning of the Srimad Bhagavatam, we can see in the introduction about the life of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, because by the way he lived his life, he's able to exemplify as that being a devotee, a follower of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, as explained in the Srimad Bhagavatam. Krishna Prema is the fifth and highest goal of life. There is these four um, what you may say, the principles of Dharma, of religion. Dharma, Artha, Kama, and Moksha. Mostly, they will only want to become liberated, but that is not the topmost. We go to church, temple, mosque, so that we'll be able to fulfill our material desires, Dharma, Artha. And then by doing so, we forgot the purpose of human form of life. Our desire increases more and more, and then we become sick and tired of this, and then we want to become liberated from this world. But real liberation means becoming free from the cycle of repeated birth and death. But the topmost is that attainment of Krishna Prema, love of God, which is inert within everyone's heart. It's like Prabhupada gave an example. It's like fire is present in the wood. There's a certain wood where if you strike two pieces of wood, and then fire will come out. So love of God is in earth, is within our hearts. It just need to be uncovered by especially the chanting of the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra. So these are the teachings of Sri Chaitanya in a nutshell. Hare Krishna. Okay?
Yes,
I
Maharaj.
will stop here for now. It's what, 8:52?
Yes.
So anyone has any comments or questions or any reflection, anything that gave you some important insights of while we are having this discussion?
Thank you, Maharaj. The comments or concerns like this. Is there any difference between the process of devotional services explained in Chaitanya Charitamrita and in Bhagavatam by Prahlada Maharaj and in Canto 7, Chapter 7, Canto 7, Chapter 5, 23, 24. So is there a difference between two processes, like two guidelines?
Why don't you tell us what is that teachings of Prahlada Maharaj?
Like,
Actually, yes, go ahead.
please go ahead.
What based from your understanding, let us hear from what you have learned from the teachings of Prahlada Maharaj in that chapter.
Like Shravanam, like should I read it?
Shravanam, Kirtanam, Vishnu, Smaranam.
Yes.
Yeah, these are 9 processes of devotional service. There is no difference. This is the 9 processes of devotional service as we've heard. So actually in that specific sloka, Prabhupada gave one of the longest purports anywhere in his writings. If you read that purport, the teachings of Prahlada Maharaj, there is no difference between the teachings. You see, the principle is the same. The details may differ. It's like Guru is one. Because Guru, the original Guru is Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So it's not that, oh, my Guru and your Guru and another's Guru, they're all different. No, they're all representatives of Lord Nityananda Prabhu. So the principles, the teachings is the same, but it may differ in details. But the result is the same. The Prabhupada says in that 9 processes of devotional service, you can execute all 9 of them. You can execute 8 or 7 or 6 or 5 or 4 or 3 or 2. But you have, even if you have only one, the chanting of the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra, everything will be included inside. That's why Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he specifically instruct us, this chanting of the holy name of the Lord is the most essential. Most essential. You can do the other 8 processes, but still you have to chant. Because if you don't chant, it is not complete, your execution of devotional service. Let's just say you do Artik for Sisirada Kirchor Gopinath, right? Our main temple in Toronto. And you neglect to chant. You don't chant at all. Do you think Sisirada Kirchor Gopinath will accept your service? Yes or no?
Maharaj, you know, we think that's no. The answer is no, but you know better, Maharaj.
It's not we think. It's definitely Krishna will accept your service. It's like Bhakti, you need the chanting in Bhakti is the most essential. It's like when you cook sabji and you forgot to put the salt. It doesn't matter. You have the best ingredients in making sabji, but you forgot to put the salt. You will not have taste. You will not relish. You will not relish the sabji. So the salt is the chanting. Okay?
Wonderful, wonderfully answered, Maharaj. So, very nice. So, I remember one thing that when you said that when we chant Mahamantra, we also surrender. Could you please
Yeah.
expand a little bit this point?
See, surrender means humility. One needs to be humble. I mean, you accept that without your help, the Mahaprabhu, you will not be able to chant purely the holy name. So surrender, chanting the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra purely means one has to be humble, as Prabhupada gave always this example, that even Krishnadas Kaviraj says we should put this mantra around our neck so that we'll be able to chant constantly. Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, in his 3rd verse of Sikshastaka, he says, Trinad api sunichena taror iba sahistuna amanena manadena kirtaniya sadahari. One should chant the holy name of the Lord in a humble state of mind, thinking himself lower than the straw in the street, more tolerant than a tree. Be ready to give respect to everyone, but not expecting respect for himself. Then in this way, one can chant the holy name of the Lord constantly. Kirtaniya sadahari. So one cannot chant the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra. This is an act of surrender towards the Supreme Lord. When we chant the holy name of the Lord, the surrendering emotions are there, feelings, and the surrendering mood is there. You cannot chant the holy name of the Lord if you're not surrendered. You can chant up to a certain time, but you cannot chant constantly. You cannot chant the whole time. And this is our goal. And because we have other priorities except chanting the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra or reading the scriptures like Shrimad Bhagavatam, therefore we're not able to surrender.
It's 9 o'clock.
Purely. We need to surrender in order to see. It's like simultaneously it is happening. One need to surrender in order to chant Hare Krishna Maha Mantra, and the more you chant Hare Krishna Maha Mantra, there your surrendering mood will increase more and more until you give up all the material attachments and only unto the lotus feet of the Supreme Lord's pleasure. That is your main mission. That is your main purpose. Is that okay?
That's very okay. Very nice. Nicely explained, Maharaj. One more question. Could you please share with us whose literatures were written by the six Goswamis and that we can read?
Well, there is Prabhupada gave us Nectar of Instruction. Prabhupada gave us Nectar of Devotion. There's so many of them. Some of them have been translated by one of our Srila Prabhupada's disciple. His name is Kusakrat Prabhu. Many of them. I can mention some. There's Pajavali, there's Sanatan Goswami, Hari Bhakti Vilas, many of them. Brihat Bhagavatamrita by Sanatan Goswami also. He says, if you want to attain pure devotional service, it is a must to read Brihat Bhagavatamrita. This is a story of Gopakumar and Narad Muni going to different places where different places in our creation, and ultimately Gopakumar reached the spiritual world, Goloka Vrindavan, and he met Lord Krishna in Vrindavan. But first of all, we should try to read Bhagavad Gita, then Srimad Bhagavatam, then Chaitanya Charitamrita. There is a Nectar of Instruction. There is the Nectar of Devotion. And then we can read other books, Bhakti Rasa, Sastra, Bhakti Rasa Sastra by these other six Goswamis of Vrindavan. It is written in the Srimad Bhagavatam. Prabhupada gave us this instruction that we should read the books of the Goswamis. Many of them, but first we should read the main books. Actually, Nectar of Instruction, Sri Isupanishad, Bhagavad Gita, Nectar of Devotion. You should read that first. Then we can read others. And when you read them, you need guidance from an elevated soul who will be able to explain you further. Otherwise, there's a tendency to misunderstand them and speculate about the meanings of them. And then one will become sahaja, prakrita sahaja, as we mentioned earlier.
Thank you, Maharaj. Thank you, Maharaj, also for the information of the devotees. ISKCON Scarborough Temple has like Bhagavad Gita, Bhagavatam, Chaitanya Charanamrita, Nectar of Instructions, Nectar of Devotion, Ishopanishad. Right. All the books we have. If someone needs it, they can contact us and we can make arrangements so that we can actually deliver the book at their doorstep. Another comment, Maharaj, we have from the president of ISKCON Scarborough.
Okay.
I'm just reading from her writings. Dwaraka Mataji wrote, Hare Krishna Maharaj, please accept our humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Thank you for your association and wonderful class on the teachings of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Hope we can hear from you more often.
Yes, likewise. Hope we can see you all also. But before we end up this Zoom program,
yes.
I wish to see, I don't know how I might be able to do this. I wish to see the lotus faces of all of our listeners.
That we can do, actually. It should be done.
Is that possible?
It's possible by each and everyone. Yeah, they're actually opening. So they are actually turning on their videos. Please turn on your videos so that Maharaj can see you.
Or are they shy?
It's not shy, actually. We ask them. Actually, the program stops them from sharing to maintain speed of the
Maharaj, namaskar.
Hare Krishna,
Hare Krishna.
Maharaj.
Hare Krishna.
Yeah,
Maharaj,
now you
Hare
can
Thank you
say
very
it.
much for
Maharaj.
Mahendra
Hare Krishna
Bhagat.
Maharaj. Hare Krishna. Kidbinta.
Hare
Hare Krishna, Hare Bol.
Hari
Hare
Bol,
Krishna Mama.
Hari Bol.
Jai Ho, Jai Ho.
Hare Krishna, Maharaj.
Hare Krishna.
How are you? Okay, everything?
Terrible angle.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna
We
Maharaj.
hope to see you in person, but due to COVID, we are restricted in traveling, even within Canada. I don't know about Ontario. Is it getting a little more difficult there? More restrictions?
It is.
No,
It
there's-
is. It is. Let's say now it's a little bit relaxed, but it was too tough. It was stay-home order until last week. So still they're asking us to stay home as long as we can.
Hello, Maharaj ji. Hello. Hello, Maharaj ji. Hello, Maharaj ji.
Bolo.
Please, can you quote from Prabhupada's Jivan Amrit, the Amrit Leela? Because we are missing something from there.
From where?
Prabhupada's Amrit Leela. Leela Amrit.
Leela
Amrit.
Amrita?
Yeah.
What do you mean? Prabhupada's pastimes?
Because
is
that's a wonderful book. You should give references, when he was in New York and in Washington and other places, he made a lot of effort, and they are worth appreciating.
We can discuss that in some other meeting.
Okay, thank you very much. Hare Krishna.
Hope you don't mind. In the meantime, you can also read on your own, or read also with some of your family members. The Prabhupada Lilamrita is also available in our bookstore.
Yes, that's right. Good. It's nice because his efforts are wonderful.
Definitely. Okay, I will give you one pastime of Srila Prabhupada. He was in New York.
Yes.
He was sitting on a bench alone. This is in the beginning of our movement. And there is this one person, and he recognized Prabhupada to be an extraordinary person. And therefore, he asked Prabhupada, my dear sir, who are you? What is your purpose? Because he saw Prabhupada being a little unusual with his sannyas clothing. So Prabhupada says, oh, I have many, many temples all over the world. We have many, many books all over the world we're distributing. But time is only separating us from them. So later on, this person, actually, he was like a bus driver. And then he met some devotees here in Vancouver. And then he noticed that they're also like distributing books. And then when he saw one of the books, because he's been asked to take a book, and at the back of all of Prabhupada's books, there is a picture of Srila Prabhupada describing the author of that book. And somehow he recognized that this is the same person that he met in New York. So Prabhupada was correct. It's only time separate us. Now he asked, yeah, I met this person. I met this person many, many years ago. Who are you? Oh, I'm a follower of my spiritual master, and he has many temples all over the world, and we print many, many of these books, Bhagavad Gita, in many, many languages all over the world. A pure devotee of the Lord, he is called Trikalagya. You can see the past, the present, and the future. So Prabhupada is in this category. You can see the past, present, and the future. So the more we read Srila Prabhupada's books, the more we purify ourselves, and also at the same time, we try to help spread Krishna consciousness to whomever we meet. then we'll get special Bhakti points in our spiritual bank account. And ultimately, when it becomes 100%, or even close to 100%, Krishna and Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu will make up the difference, and that will give us the ticket to go back home, back to Godhead.
And Maharaji, I've come to know that at the naming ceremony, when he gave name and spiritual name to his followers, just like Kirtananda or something, he gave name. We should say the holy name celebration to 2 persons from Montreal also.
Yeah.
And maybe our Maharaji is one of them. Bhakti Marg Swami.
Yes. I did not get that one.
Because I've read somewhere that 2 persons from Montreal, they personally took name from Swami Prabhupada. 2 persons from Montreal. Montreal.
Oh, 2 persons from Montreal?
Yes, they took name from Swami Prabhupada.
Many. Prabhupada initiated many in Montreal.
Okay.
Our Guru Maharaj was initiated in Montreal. He was the first Indian disciple. He was the first Indian disciple outside of India.
Oh, that's right.
His Holiness Gopal Krishna Goswami.
Yes.
Okay.
Okay, that's
So,
good. Okay, thank you very much.
With your permission,
Good.
we will like to conclude our meeting today.
Oh, thank you very much. You're so nice of you.
And hope to see you all again some other time. Okay?
You have got good knowledge. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Maharaj. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Maharaj. Thanks, everyone. Hare Krishna.
Thank you.
Thank you, Krishna. Thank you.
Hari Bol.
People.
Hare Krishna. Thank you so much for your time.
Sukriya. Dandabats Pranam. Hari Bol.
Hari Bol.
Hare Krishna, Maharaj.
Thank you.
Hare Krishna.
Krishna.
Hare Krishna Maharaj.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you, everyone. Hare Krishna. Stay safe and have.
So
Mataji.
we can,
Yeah, you can
Prabhu,
chant.
can we all chant 1-2 rungs together for Bhakti Marg Swami?
Of course, sure, you should do that. Yes,
I will be leading the chanting, so we will go.
Yes, please join. Everyone join. For
Namo Padaya Krishna Pasaya Bhutale Srimati Bhakti Anta Swami Namine Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Prachadane Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Pasvatari Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Srivas Adi Gaura Bhakta Hare Krishna,
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Krishna Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna,
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna,
Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare.
Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare
Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna,
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna,
Krishna
Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram, Hare Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna,
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna
Krishna
Krishna,
Krishna,
Hare
Hare
Hare,
Hare,
Hare
Hare
Ram,
Ram,
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna,
Krishna
Krishna
Hare.
Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Hare Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Ram, Hare Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Ram, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Ram, Hare Krishna, Hare Ram, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna,
Krishna
Hare
Hare
Hare,
Hare,
Hare
Hare
Ram,
Ram,
Hare
Hare
Ram,
Hare 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 Krishna,
Hare
Krishna
Krishna, Hare
Hare.
Krishna,
Hare
Hare
Ram Ram Hare
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 Krishna,
Hare
Hare
Krishna
Krishna,
Hare
Krishna
Krishna
Krishna, Hare
Krishna
Ram,
Hare 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 Ram Hare Ram Ram Ram
Hare
Hare
Krishna, Hare
Hare
Krishna,
Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Hare
Hare
Ram
Krishna, Hare Krishna,
Hare Krishna Hare Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Ram
Hare
Hare
Krishna,
Ram
Hare
Ram
Krishna,
Ram
Hare
Hare
Krishna,
Krishna
Hare
Hare
Ram,
Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Ram
Hare
Ram Ram Hare Hare Hare
Namaskar ji.
Krishna Hare Ram Hare 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 Krishna, Hare
Hare
Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Hare Ram, Ram Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Hare Ram, Ram Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Ram, Hare Ram, Ram Hare
Hare
Hare,
Krishna,
Hare
Hare
Krishna,
Krishna,
Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Hare Ram, Ram Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Hare Ram, Ram Hare
Hare Krishna,
Hare Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Hare Ram, Ram Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Hare Ram, Ram Hare
Hare
Hare,
Krishna, Hare Krishna,
Hare Hare, Ram Ram Hare Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Hare Ram, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Hare
Hare Krishna,
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram,
Hare
Ram
Krishna, Hare Krishna,
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Hare
Hare Krishna,
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare
Hare
Rama,
Krishna,
Rama
Hare
Rama,
Krishna,
Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare
Hare
Rama,
Krishna,
Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Ram Hare Hare, Hare
Hare
Krishna,
Krishna,
Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Hare Ram,
Hare
Hare Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Hare Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Hare 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 Ram, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna,
Hare
Krishna
Krishna,
Hare
Hare Krishna, Krishna
Hare
Krishna,
Ram,
Hare
Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare
Ram
Krishna,
Ram, Hare
Hare
Hare,
Hare, Hare Ram,
Hare
Hare Ram,
Krishna,
Ram
Hare
Ram,
Krishna,
Hare
Ram
Krishna, Hare
Hare
Krishna,
Hare,
Krishna
Ram
Hare
Hare
Ram,
Krishna,
Hare,
Hare
Hare
Krishna,
Ram,
Krishna
Hare Ram,
Hare
Ram
Hare
Ram,
Ram,
Hare
Hare
Hare,
Ram,
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna
Hare
Krishna,
Ram, Hare Ram, Hare Ram, Hare
Hare
Ram,
Ram, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare
Krishna,
Hare,
Hare
Hare Krishna,
Krishna,
Hare Krishna, Krishna
Ram
Hare
Ram,
Hare, Hare Ram, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna,
Hare Krishna,
Krishna
Hare
Krishna,
Krishna,
Hare
Krishna
Hare,
Krishna,
Hare
Hare
Ram,
Hare,
Hare
Ram
Ram,
Hare Ram,
Hare
Ram
Hare,
Ram, Hare Hare,
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna
Hare
Krishna,
Krishna,
Hare
Krishna
Hare,
Krishna,
Hare
Hare
Ram,
Hare,
Hare Ram,
Ram
Hare
Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare,
Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram,
Hare
Hare
Krishna,
Ram,
Hare
Ram Ram,
Krishna, Krishna Krishna,
Hare
Hare
Krishna, Hare Krishna,
Ram
Krishna
Hare
Krishna,
Ram,
Hare
Ram
Hare,
Ram,
Hare Ram, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Hare
Hare
Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Hare
Hare
Ram, Ram
Ram,
Ram,
Hare Ram, Ram
Krishna,
Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare
Krishna
Krishna,
Krishna,
Hare
Hare
Hare,
Hare,
Ram
Hare
Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna,
Hare
Krishna
Hare,
Krishna, Hare Hare,
Hare Ram,
Ram Hare
Ram Ram,
Ram,
Hare
Ram
Hare,
Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna,
Krishna,
Hare
Hare
Krishna,
Hare, Ram Hare
Krishna
Ram,
Krishna, Hare Hare,
Hare
Ram Hare
Krishna, Hare
Ram,
Krishna,
Ram
Krishna,
Ram,
Hare
Hare
Hare,
Hare,
Hare Ram, Hare Ram, Ram
Hare
Ram, Hare
Krishna,
Hare,
Hare
Hare
Krishna, Krishna
Hare,
Krishna, Hare Hare, Ram Hare Ram, Ram
Hare
Ram,
Ram, Ram
Hare
Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare,
Hare,
Hare Ram, Hare Ram, Ram Ram,
Hare Ram, Hare Ram, Ram Ram,
Hare
Hare
Krishna,
Hare,
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram,
Krishna,
Hare Ram,
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna,
Hare
Hare
Krishna, Hare Krishna,
Ram, Hare
Krishna
Ram,
Krishna,
Ram
Hare
Ram,
Hare,
Hare Hare,
Hare Ram, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare
Hare
Hare,
Krishna,
Hare
Hare
Ram,
Krishna,
Hare
Krishna
Ram,
Krishna,
Ram Ram,
Hare
Hare
Hare,
Hare,
Ram
Hare
Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Ram, Ram Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare
Hare Krishna,
Ram
Krishna
Ram, Hare
Krishna
Hare.
Krishna Hare Hare,
Hare
Hare Ram Hare Ram 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 Hare Hare, Hare
Ram,
Krishna
Hare Hare.
Hare
Hare Krishna,
Hare
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 Krishna, Krishna
Hare
Hare
Hare,
Ram, Hare
Hare Krishna
Hare
Krishna
Krishna, Hare
Krishna
Krishna,
Hare
Krishna
Hare,
Hare
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 Ram
Ram,
Hare Ram
Ram Hare.
Hare Krishna Hare Hare
Hare
Ram
Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna
Hare
Hare
Krishna,
Ram,
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Ram Hare Ram, Hare
Hare
Krishna, Hare Krishna,
Ram,
Krishna
Ram
Krishna,
Ram,
Hare
Hare
Hare,
Hare.
Ram Hare
Hare
Hare, Hare
Krishna, Krishna
Hare
Hare Hare.
Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna,
Hare
Krishna Hare Ram, Hare Ram, Ram
Ram, Hare Ram, Ram Hare
Hare Hare,
Hare.
Ram Hare Ram, Ram
Hare
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 Ram, Hare
Krishna,
Ram,
Hare
Ram
Krishna,
Ram,
Hare
Hare Hare.
Hare, Ram Hare
Hare
Krishna,
Krishna,
Hare
Hare
Krishna,
Krishna,
Krishna
Krishna
Hare
Hare
Hare,
Ram, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna,
Hare Ram,
Ram Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare.
Krishna
Hare
Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Hare Ram,
Krishna,
Ram
Krishna
Hare
Hare
Hare,
Hare Ram, Hare Ram, Ram Krishna, Hare
Hare
Krishna,
Hare
Krishna
Krishna
Hare
Hare
Hare Ram,
Hare,
Hare Ram, Ram Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna Hare Krishna
Krishna Hare
Krishna
Krishna,
Hare
Krishna
Hare,
Hare Ram, Hare Ram, Ram Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna,
Hare
Krishna
Krishna, Hare
Krishna,
Krishna,
Hare Hare, Hare Ram,
Hare
Hare Ram,
Ram,
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare,
Hare Krishna, Hare
Hare
Krishna,
Krishna, Hare Krishna,
Hare
Hare
Ram,
Ram,
Hare
Hare
Ram,
Ram, Hare
Hare
Krishna, Hare Krishna, Hare Hare,
Ram,
Hare Ram,
Ram,
Hare
Ram, Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Hare Ram, Hare Ram, Ram
Krishna, Hare
Hare
Krishna,
Hare.
Krishna Hare Hare,
Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Ram Hare Ram Ram Ram
Hare
Hare
Krishna,
Hare
Hare
Krishna Krishna
Hare Krishna, Hare
Hare
Krishna,
Krishna Hare
Krishna
Krishna
Hare
Hare
Hare,
Krishna
Hare
Krishna
Ram,
Krishna
Hare
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 Ram,
Ram,
Ram Hare Ram Ram
Hare
Ram
Krishna,
Hare
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 Krishna,
Krishna, Hare
Krishna
Hare
Krishna,
Krishna Hare Krishna Krishna
Hare
Krishna
Hare
Hare
Ram,
Hare
Hare Ram,
Hare
Ram
Ram
Krishna,
Ram
Hare
Ram
Krishna,
Ram Hare
Krishna
Hare
Hare
Krishna
Hare,
Krishna 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 Hare
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 Krishna, Hare
Ram Hare Ram Ram Ram
Hare
Hare
Ram,
Hare Krishna Hare
Ram,
Krishna Krishna
Hare
Krishna Hare 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 Ram Hare Ram 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 Hare Hare
Hare Ram, Hare
Krishna
Ram,
Krishna
Ram
Krishna
Ram,
Hare
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 Hare, Hare Krishna,
Hare Hare
Hare
Hare
Krishna,
Krishna
Hare
Hare
Hare,
Krishna
Hare Ram,
Hare
Hare
Krishna
Hare
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 Krishna
Hare,
Krishna
Ram,
Hare
Krishna Hare 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 Ram Hare
Hare Hare,
Hare
Hare
Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna
Krishna,
Krishna,
Krishna
Hare
Hare
Hare,
Hare Hare Ram
Hare
Hare
Ram,
Ram Ram
Ram,
Ram Hare
Hare
Hare